Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to part 2 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or you can email the dealership at info@barrycullen.com. As always, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern talk and sports. I hope everybody's ready for another show today. I just had one earlier today with Dave Campbell, the radio analyst for the Edmonton Elks of the CFL. And tonight, I'm excited to have my guest on tonight. It's her first appearance on our show, and her name is Krystal King. She's a Nashville recording artist, country singer, songwriter, and just released her latest single called Mind Your Own Backyard, as well as another single she released this year called House Fire as well. So I'm excited to have her on, talk about her latest singles, her career in country music, and maybe some of her latest tours in the States as well. So I'm going to bring on Krystal King. Hi, Krystal. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. So thank you so much for doing this. And is this your first Canadian podcast radio show you've been on?
No, actually, I did one, and I actually didn't realize he was in Canada, and I'm blanking on who it was, but I think it was just last week, and I think that was maybe my first one. So 2 recently.
How are things going right now in Nashville and in the music industry?
Oh, it's always changing, always evolving. So still learning and navigating that, but it's always super fun, and everybody's very collaborative and supportive here in Nashville.
Congratulations on your latest single. I just listened to it a half an hour ago, called Mind Your Own Backyard, and just thoughts on really releasing that song and the process of writing it and recording it.
Yeah, that song has been kind of on the docket to release for a while now. I finished a 7-song album EP thing, and that I think we finished it not this past February, but the February before. So it's been a year and a half now, and it's available on CD, but it's not been out digitally. But I started releasing singles from it in August. So Mind Your Own Backyard was the 3rd song I released off of it. And this one was probably like one of the ones I was most excited about, just because it's a friendly murder my husband song about murdering him and burying him in the backyard. So I was super excited to release that. It's a very tongue-in-cheek song. We did the music video with kind of a vintagey 60s vibe, lots of bright colors. And yeah, it was so much fun to write it, to record it. Just the whole process of envisioning what that song would sound and look like was so much fun.
Can you tell my audience how much work there is behind the scenes of recording a song?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. Before I even started recording, I had to go through and pick the songs, polish the songs, get opinions from other people, edit them, kind of figure out what the arrangement would sound like. So like, where is there going to be an instrumental break? How long is the intro going to be? How are we going to transition from this part to this part? So there's a lot of like extra editing that happens, that, sometimes you may not have played the song that way because you played it acoustic. So there's not usually those solos. And then I did an Indiegogo thing. So I did something to kind of crowdfund, raise some money. And when we went into the studio, I did it kind of a weird way. Typically, you'll hire a producer and they'll hire musicians. And that kind of streamlines the process a little bit. But I used a student recording studio, and I didn't hire a producer. So I picked all the musicians, brought them in there, and kind of went from there. But then once you record it, then you go through the editing process, you mix it, got to do your vocals, mix those, master it, then actually, order the CDs. So there's so many steps. So it took me a while because I did it in a very strange way. I did it in a very non-efficient way. But I'm super happy with it, super happy with how it turned out, and definitely extra proud now that I know how much work it takes to do that.
How hard is it to get a recording studio in Nashville?
That part isn't very hard. There are, like musicians, there are tons and tons of producers, tons of studios. There's also like a lot of producers kind of work out of their homes. They've set up home studios. With that being a more common thing these days. So home studios are big, and also just, there's so many studios from inexpensive or demo studios to the big dogs as well. But you can pretty much find what you need.
That's a good point about the home studios, because if you have the right equipment, or let's say with me, I'm in radio, but I'm doing this from my home on my laptop, you can pretty well do anything if you have the right equipment with today's technology.
Oh yeah. Today's technology has changed everything. I know of artists who did their entire albums, at home on a laptop, and they didn't spend thousands and thousands of dollars.
We were talking before we went live about Kirsty Kraus, tremendous musician herself. How long have you known her? And I've had her on my show a couple times, and she's very talented as well, and a great person to talk to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how long ago it was that we met. I moved to Nashville about 7 years ago, I believe. So we met not long after that, probably within a year or two. And we played a writer's round together. And after that, we just kind of stayed connected. We wrote together over Zoom a couple of times. Every time we'd see each other, it was like, hey, how's life going? She was always a positive, bubbly person. So we always liked each other. We just didn't hang out a ton. But about, oh my gosh, I guess it's going on like 3 years. 2 or 3 years ago, she called me up and she was like, hey, I know at one point you had mentioned, like, if you ever want to go on a run together, hit me up. And she was like, you want to come to Florida with me for 21 days? So I was crazy enough to go with her, and she had broken up with her last musician boyfriend. I always give her a hard time about that. And we went on a girls trip for 21 days touring, and you learn real quick all person's quirks when you're touring and working and traveling with them in our small car. But we had a blast. We got along really great. And now we're like sisters. Like, we annoy each other, but we love each other. And she's a huge supporter, and she's such a talent herself. So we always have fun. We're actually going to Wisconsin together in like 2 weeks.
I would like to go back there. I've been to Milwaukee and Green Bay for a Packers game, and I really would like to hear her perform live, because there's nothing better. As much as I love live streaming and virtual, there's nothing better than when you're at a concert or a live performance in person with a musician.
Mm-hmm. And we always have fun because we like to banter, and you can tell like we're friends when we're on the stage, because we're just having a good time.
I've got a comment from a viewer. His name is John. Okay, this is sometimes you get spam on on StreamYard. Sorry, I apologize. I thought it was a legitimate question, so it's just spam, unfortunately. But yeah, I was gonna say I'm looking forward to hopefully getting Kirsty back on my show again in the future. But in the music industry, connections are huge, and and music really does bring people together too.
For sure. There's just so, like, going to writers rounds, going to networking events, all that's so important. But then I always find the best connections I make are usually when I'm not looking to network or not looking to connect, and you're just hanging out and having a good time, and you never know who you're gonna run into. But it's always a reminder to stay humble and kind, just because you never know who in Nashville you're gonna run into. And when you perform, you always want to be doing your best, because even if you're playing like a small show that you don't think really matters, you never know who's watching these days.
That's my philosophy in radio. Stay humble, stay hungry, and regardless how many people are watching or listening to this show, I try to put my best foot forward on every show with my guests, because
Mhm.
like you said, with this technology, you don't know who's watching you, and they can watch you from all across the world. And I
Yeah.
have listeners from 36 countries across the world. So I just tell people in music or any career that always give your best performance every time you come out, regardless of how many people are at a concert or doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And sometimes it's hard to get up that energy, but it's always just a good reminder to yourself to just, like, no matter who's watching, you always want to be putting on a show like a million people are there. So
I'm going to get into some questions. My show is in Georgia, but it's done remotely from my home here in Southern Ontario near Toronto. Can you just tell my audience just a little bit about yourself, and when did you develop an interest in music?
so I'm from Hickory, North Carolina originally. And my interest in music is, I mean, since I was born pretty much. Um, my family's not musical. I don't have any musicians in my family. But I heard Alan Jackson on the radio when I was like 2 or 3, and I was pretty much hooked. Like, that's all I remember wanting to listen to. And luckily, my parents kind of let me control the radio. And I would love to sing for like church, and just anytime I could, I was always singing. First time I sang on stage, or even just in front of people, I'm not sure how old I was, but there was a DJ just playing background music at a restaurant. And I was there with my parents and their family friends, and they dared me to go up and ask if I could sing. And so, me being me, I had no shy bones in my body. I went up and asked, and my parents, that was like the first time that they were like, "Oh, there might be something to this. Like, she actually knows all the words. Like, that's pretty impressive." Um, and I begged my parents to buy me a guitar, and later on they did. I started writing songs. Probably I dabbled in songwriting earlier, but I think my first official song was written in middle school or early high school, with my guitar teacher, and that, yeah, the rest is history.
This leads to my next question, by the way. Who were some of your early music influences and mentors? You mentioned Alan Jackson, but is there some other people that were your musical influences? And did you have a mentor that helped you with the songwriting aspect of it as well?
Yeah. So musical influences, Alan Jackson was a big one. I loved Shania Twain and Leanne Womack, Dixie Chicks. Those were some of the ones I really loved growing up. And as I get a little older, I would say Sugarland, and now Ashley McBride, Lainey Wilson, Eric Church. And as far as mentors, I had a few different guitar teachers. My first one, his name was Randy Fulbright, and he helped me to record like a CD or a little album. And so that was super cool. That was my first time like being in a studio. It was out of his house, but it was just super cool opportunity as a kid. Um, and then later in, I think, high school, or maybe a little before, I started taking from a guy named Tony Altura. And I think he was just a big influence because he really knew kind of how to meet in the middle. A lot of teachers that I had were either like, "Oh, you need to learn these crazy scales," or "Let's teach you to play this song, but not teach you anything else." So he really knew how to combine the theory with actual playing of songs and get us excited about it. And so he was actually the person I wrote my first couple of songs with. So he was a huge influence. And then when I moved to Charlotte after college, I joined the Nashville Songwriters Association there. And there was a guy named Tony Thomas and Glenn Shelby, and they were also really big in just helping me learn how to edit songs, and how to structure songs a little bit better for the Nashville style.
And that's the thing. A lot of people think music is just, oh, you got the God-given voice, but there's a lot of things behind it. And I wanted to ask you this too. I've never played a guitar in my life, but when you first started out, did it take you a while to get used to doing the guitar playing? Like, was it, or did you just get it right away instantly?
No, definitely took a little bit, took a lot of practice. I'm not the most rhythmic person, so that took a minute. But it's one of those things that's funny because like I can remember not being able to do it, and then suddenly I remember being able to do it. But you kind of the whole process is sort of a blur. But at some point, something kind of clicks. Your hands get a little bigger too as you get a little older, and you can reach chords a little bit more. But you just kind of get it in that muscle memory over time.
And is there any other? I think there's a fiddle on the back wall there. Is that a fiddler?
Yes,
Fiddler?
it
Yeah.
is.
So do you still play that quite often as well with your musics?
I actually don't play either of these. They're there for decoration.
Irish.
But also I've been wanting I've wanted to play the fiddle for as long as I can remember. I wanted to be an orchestra and then I kind of let myself be talked into band. And so I've kind of always wanted to play the fiddle. So my husband bought me that a couple of years ago, so that I could start learning. But then I've not really sat down and learned anything yet, but still a goal of mine. But that's an eventual thing. But I did play flute in band was my other instrument. And I don't regret band at all, even though I didn't learn the fiddle. I don't regret band because that's where I met my husband was high school band camp.
Music really does connect people. I took music in school, but I just never had the talent for it. And I did try karaoke once in New York City. I had a few drinks in me, but it was a lot of fun doing karaoke. But I just definitely don't have that musical voice. And I have so much respect for you guys because it's a passion. You have to have a passion for it. If you don't have a passion for it, then you're not going to be as successful. And that's my thoughts on any career you're in, is how passionate you are.
For sure. For sure. And I think that's been something that's driven me as far as I've gotten because I was always very passionate and persistent about it. I haven't always practiced as much as I should, and I definitely have held myself back at some points. But I think finally just jumping in and being like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, has been a huge thing in my life. I think there was a moment, after college, I got a 9 to 5 and I worked a little bit and was kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna I want to be a country singer, but I don't really know how to do it. And then finally I was like, you know what, I'm gonna move to Nashville. We're gonna figure it out. This is what I'm doing. And I think just making that declaration for myself was a big thing.
And I was reading your bio today too, and how passionate you are about songwriting. For anybody that's getting into the music industry, do you feel the more hats, literally, that's a pun, the more hats you can wear, the more your chances of will succeed in the music industry?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And definitely, eventually it's nice to have a team built that kind of help you with things. That way because you only have so much time. So sometimes it is nice to be able to pass that hat to somebody else. But I think especially starting out, it's that's huge. As far as for songwriting, most artists write their own songs these days, or at least are part of the process, even if they're not the lead songwriter. Um, that's what a lot of labels like, and a lot of people do sign publishing deals before they are signed as an artist. There are people that are solely artists, but that adds a lot of steps to the process because then they have to go through pitching and they have to find the right song. And still, people will take outside cuts, but it's not as often. Like in the 90s, there were lots of artists who didn't write, or even like now, like I don't think Jason Aldean really writes his own songs. So you can get outside cuts, like songwriters that pitch it to an artist and they take it, but a lot of times the artists really want to be a part of the process, or that way the song is actually like made for them, if that makes sense. So I think that's a big thing. But also as far as just wearing other hats, I do my booking, I do my marketing, I do my PR, I do all of that. And You know, as an independent artist, you're not made of money. So unless you have that financial backing, you have to do all that stuff. And it's all very important. Not only do you have to have the talent, but if you're not marketing yourself well, or if you're not putting the stuff on your socials, if you're not booking shows so people can see you, like those are all big parts of the business.
I can relate, even though I'm not in the music industry, being in the radio and media industry and being self-taught. And I do everything. I'm the host, I'm the producer, content creator, promoting. It's a lot of work, and I've learned how to edit video too. So, wanted to ask you about this too. What do you like the most about songwriting, and what are some of the hardest aspects of the songwriting aspect of the industry?
hmm I've always loved storytelling. So I think for me, I've always been an imaginative person too. So songwriting is kind of my way to experience things, um, and to tell creative stories and to be imaginative and help people kind of escape, I guess, from their day to day, or that's kind of my escape from the day to day, or even just a way to empathize with people and relate to them or express what I'm feeling. The challenging part is, oh man, I think time is a big thing. Just finding, taking off like my business hat and being able to be present and in the moment and really just focus on that song and in the time, because I could be running around doing 1,000 things. So sometimes it's hard to get into the writing room and being like, okay, I'm going to focus on this one thing. Um, so I think just having that creative energy and keeping that when I'm so busy is probably one of the hardest things.
Wanted to ask you this as well. Ups, I hit that by mistake. We're gonna play your song soon. Just
Yay.
1 second. 1 second. Sorry about that technical issue. Wanted to ask you this. Every musician's different, but where do you get some of your inspirations um, from on your shows, like your songs, your inspiration, and sometimes do your songs just come just like that?
Sometimes they can come really fast. I tend to be like a molar, so I tend to think on things a lot because I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I want to make sure every line is geared towards that hook or is as good as it can be. Um, I love to collaborate. Like I do like to solo write, but I also just love to work with other people because it brings in things that maybe I didn't think of, or it also helps me to get out of my own head and stop overthinking things. Having two people, we kind of self edit. As far as my inspiration, it's a little bit of everything from experiences I have to movies I've seen to books or maybe a line that I see somewhere that sparks an idea. So it comes from all kinds of things. And I usually will write them in my notes in my phone or record a little voice memo if I'm driving down the road. Or I keep like a Google Doc that's just songwriting ideas. And sometimes you go through spurts where you're not as inspired, and that's okay. That's part of the process. But you just keep writing. And honestly, the more I write, the more I get ideas.
And it's also like reps. The more you do something, the better you get at it. If you only do it, if you're not consistent, consistency is huge. And also, I wanted to ask you this too, Krystal. It goes for most careers. You're going to have a lot of successes, but you're also going to have setbacks. I never ever use the word failure. I always look at them as temporary setbacks. And can you just explain to me in your career some of your successes and maybe some of your setbacks and how you've dealt with the setbacks moving forward?
Yeah. So successes, I feel like recently I've been on kind of a good like power forward momentum thing. And I think, making this album and finally getting some of the music that I'm most proud of out has been a huge success. I've been nominated for like 5 Josie Awards. And that's an independent award show that's held at the Grand Ole Opry. So I'm super excited about that. First time applying, so I didn't imagine getting that many. And just having other friends cut my songs and just playing some bigger shows, doing more full band stuff, traveling more. So those are some of my successes. As far as setbacks, I think there's always these times where I feel like I'm like moving forward, and then suddenly like you feel stuck for a while, like you feel like you're doing the same thing, and there's not much momentum. Like I'm like, I haven't talked to many publishers or things. Like I would love to be signed, but there are some times, like especially when I was playing downtown on Broadway. I don't play downtown a whole lot, but one thing about Broadway is you can get dropped from a show for like no reason, or because like one bartender didn't like you. So things like that. So there was definitely a few places I played, and I would play there for like a year, and they would act like I was great, and then all of a sudden they stop booking you, and you're, and that makes you think to yourself like, oh, am I like not good enough? Like, what's the problem? But every time something like that has happened, some other sort of opportunity has kind of miraculously come to fruition during that time. So it's always kind of led to another thing. Like I think whenever that sort of my last downtown gig ended, that was kind of whenever a friend, or when like Kirsty reached out to me about touring. And so it's been kind of cool seeing how as one door closes, another one opens. And I know it's a cheesy saying, but it's been true.
And before we get, I wanted to play your first song video here, but also it's mindset and how important is mindset and family support, especially in the music industry where it's very competitive.
Oh yeah, it's huge. Just having people like encourage you and believe in you is huge. And then also like my husband is always trying to figure out ways that he can make my life easier when I'm on the road. He'll add things to my studio when I'm gone, or he'll buy certain carts or something to help me move my merch around more, and he drums for me sometimes. So he's a huge help when it comes to all of that. So family support's huge, and mindset is even more so. Like just having a positive mindset and not getting bogged down or beating yourself up, and being able to just be like, okay, I'm going to pick myself back up, and we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep pushing, even if things are going slow. And I think I just love it so much. And I think you have to love it, because there are some parts that stink.
And that's the same with the radio media industry. I love it. I'm very passionate, but there are some parts of it where they can be very difficult. But you know what? Mindset is so huge. And Krystal, before we play your song, I have to ask you, because you know how YouTube and Facebook and social media is with copyright and music. Do I have your permission to play your song, your latest song called "Mind Your Own Backyard" that came out? I think, what did you say, July 10th recently?
July 12th. Yep. And
July
yes,
12th.
you do.
Okay, and we're going to play it for my Canadian audience, and if we have enough time, we will try to play your other song too, called "House Fire." And then once we're done, I'll ask you just some questions about the songs and putting it all together. Thank you so much, Krystal, for letting me do this. Just let me know if you can hear the audio okay.
Okay, we'll do.
Nancy asked me why I done tore up my tulip bed, and Barbara had some things to say about the spade outside my shed. The HOA's been on my back about the state of my lawn, and up and down the block they're asking just to wear my husband's song. I do is up to me if it's on private property. So paint your picture. Damn your own side, and don't dig up secrets. When you can let them lie, I got blood on my hands. Dirt to my name, hell, I just might be digging a grave, but it ain't for you to say. Go on and bite your tongue. If you were smart, you'd learn to mind your own backyard. Well, it's been a week since I woke up with a new black eye, and I found him a punishment that if you really want to know I'm aggressive this spring. It's cause of that piece of shit that's buried underneath. Oh, it's an open, and that's how I'd like to keep it. So paint your picket fence, stay on your own side, and don't dig up secrets. When you let them lie, got blood on my hands, hurts my name, hell, I just might be big and funny for you to say. So go on and bite your tongue. If you were smart, you'd learn to mind your own backyard. And if you don't, you might end up in my own. So paint your picket fence, stay on your own side, and don't dig up secrets. When you let them fly, got blood on my hands, hurts my name, hell, I just might be digging the grave, but it ain't for you to say. Go on and bite your tongue. If you were smart, you'd learn to mind your own backyard. So go on. Your own backyard.
That was courtesy of your YouTube channel. Can you just tell my audience how you can get people to subscribe to your YouTube channel and just thoughts on that song? I think you have a hit there. It's really catchy, and I'm excited to play it over here in Canada as well.
Yay. Yeah, so Krystal King music, just remember it's with a K, like the burgers, and K with like King, like Burger King. And as far as that song goes, gosh, that one was so much fun. I just had this kind of play on words. I think it started out as like take care of your own backyard, and I wanted that to mean like nosy neighbors peeking in while you've murdered your husband. So I took it to my friend Stephanie Joyce, and I wanted it to be kind of a Casey Musgraves feel. So she does a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff. So that was kind of the influence for that one. So Casey Musgraves meets Dixie Chicks, Goodbye Earl. And I wanted the video to be like a vintage 60s theme. So we just went all in with that, and it was so much fun.
I was gonna say, how satisfying was it when it came out 10 days ago?
Oh, so good. It's just been a long time coming, and I had been excited about that one for a long time because I always am excited about my songs coming out. But for like Housefire, I loved the video, but the video was more of just a visualizer, where this music video was like a true music video with a storyline and a plot and all these different characters. And it was the first time I'd done that. So it was super fun.
In general, with most of your songs, are they usually about 3 or 4 minutes so they fit on radio?
Yeah, 3 or 4 minutes. I don't write excessively long songs, but I'm not like a huge stickler on that. Like Housefire is kind of long. It's about 4 minutes, which I know is not the radio standard. But if I feel like the song is the way it's supposed to be, then I'm just not too worried about it. I'm like, if they don't play it, they don't play it.
And the song "Mind Your Own Backyard." When you're a young kid, it used to be "Mind Your Own Business," but we all can relate to your song, and I think you did a great job on it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Do we have time to play your other song that came
Yeah,
out
that's
this year,
fine.
"Housefire," if that's okay?
Yeah, let's do
And
it.
and again, for YouTube and Facebook and copyright, I have your permission to play this song. Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
sir.
All right, because you know how it works with the
I know.
copyrighted music. So 1 second, we're gonna play "Housefire," and again, just let me know if you can hear the audio okay.
Okay.
I could say that I'm lonely, could say that I'm bored, but on the wrinkles, press the collar and just put it in the drawer. I could say that I'm restless, or that I'm not in love, so I do my best to pick up the mess and sweep it all under the rug. Call it good enough. I don't smoke, but I got a lighter. I ain't sick, but I got pills. Up till now, I haven't used them, but maybe someday I will. Don't drink, but I got bourbon sitting in the closet in the back. I don't smoke, but I got a lighter. Someday I'm gonna start a house fire. He leaves for work and doesn't say anything. The weatherman says it's gonna be another rainy day. So I put on my lipstick, take a long look in the mirror, and try not to think about the next 30 years. How the hell I got here? I don't smoke, but I got a lighter. I ain't sick, but I got pills. Up till now, I haven't used them, but maybe someday I will. I don't drink, but I got bourbon sitting in the closet in the back. I don't smoke, but I got a lighter. Someday I'm gonna start a house. There's a ring on my finger since I was 22, and that's a rock in the foundation that he says that we'll get to. And I can live and I can die right here in this house, but just a single flame could burn it down. I don't smoke, but I got a lighter. I ain't sick, but I got pills. Up till now, I haven't used them, but maybe someday I will. Don't drink, but I got bourbon sitting in the closet in the back. I don't smoke, but I got a lighter. Someday I'm gonna start a house. Gonna start a house
And that was a courtesy of Krystal King's YouTube channel. You can subscribe to it, but make sure it's a Krystal with a K. And just thoughts on the on House Fire. I thought it was a very very powerful song, and we've all gone through difficult times in our life. How much does music help in therapy with people going through difficult times?
Oh, so much. I think music's a great outlet. Sometimes we have a hard time either feeling something or even like getting uncomfortable when we feel it, and we need a way to kind of get it out of ourselves. And I think music can be a really great tool to do that. So it's just a really good tool for expression, and music can take you through anything. Like it can motivate you when you need to work out or clean. It can help you go to sleep. It can help you express how you're feeling, but it can also shift your mood if you need to feel something better. So it's such a versatile coping skill.
By the way, I love classic music, 60s Motown, classic rock music. But since I started this show 4.5 years ago, I've had a number of musicians, and a lot of them are country. And I'm now finding myself enjoying country music now,
Mhm.
especially the newer brand. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate you having us on. And, I think different music can speak to different people in different ways. And, um, I think when I listen to other styles of music, I'm usually more listening to the like bass line or the groove or the musicality versus country. While I still do listen to that, it's a lot about the lyrics for me. And I think that's what I really love about it.
Before I came on with you tonight, I always like to listen to satellite radio music before I go on my show, just to relax me, calm me. And I
Yeah.
heard a song from 1976 when I was 5 years old from the Bellamy Brothers, "Let Your Love Flow,"
Mhm.
and it just took me back to when I was 5 years old. Some of these
Yeah.
songs, it just takes you back, and
I think so
sometimes you have it's very emotional sometimes too.
too. Mhm.
I want to ask you this as well. Obviously, the music industry is changing with everything being on Spotify, iTunes, live streaming. Do you see a future for CDs? And you've already released one album, I believe. Pretty Poison. Do you have any plans for a second album and again release it on CD?
Yeah, so Pretty Poison is available on CD, but not fully available on streaming yet. So that the hope is to have it fully out by the end of the year. And I do hope to do another CD. I hope to do another album. I'm not sure the timeline of that yet, but kind of just have been reeling up, trying to figure out what songs I have that I want on there, what I need, um, and what my process of recording will be this go round. Um, I mean, as far as the physical CDs, I still sell them at shows. Um, and so I everything kind of comes back in phases too, like records and cassettes are cool again. Um, but I think there always will be, whether it's a CD form or on Spotify, I think albums in general are still important. Um, I released a lot of this album as singles just to draw it out and make the most of it, especially as an independent artist. When you put your time and energy into it and your money, you kind of got to make it last for a while. Um, but for me, making an album was kind of special because there were certain songs I got to put on there that I love, but I don't think would have made it or been a good single. Um, they needed the context of the album to make it special, or they may have had like an extra cool, like extra long solo or weird interludes that worked for the album as a whole. And I really loved those, and I was glad I was able to put those out without them having to be a standalone single, because I don't think as a standalone single they would, not that they weren't as good, but they just didn't have like that single like commercial radio quality. They were kind of more artsy. And so it was nice to be able to put them out in a different format.
So you see albums being around for a while still in the music industry.
I do. I do. I think it's a great, they may look different than they used to, but I think they'll always kind of have a place.
Any plans on putting your music on a vinyl record? I'm from 1972, so I grew up with the records, and now they're back again, and same with cassettes. Any plans for that in the future?
Not at the moment. I think it would be really cool and I would love to do it. But one thing about vinyl is it's more expensive. Um, so that means I have to buy it in advance, and then I have to like sell them, and I have to sell them for extra money and to make money. And so for me right now, I haven't shopped around. So maybe I need to just do some more shopping around. But from my initial looking at it, it didn't seem like a worthwhile thing for me, but maybe.
All right. Do you have a couple more minutes for a couple more quick questions?
Yeah, just feel.
Okay, yep, definitely. What have been some of your most memorable live performances, and what are some of your favorite cities you've performed in your career so far?
Yeah. I love going back home to North Carolina, just because it's fun to see friends and family and have them come out to shows. Last year I performed the Hickory Oktoberfest in my hometown, And I had performed it before as a singer-songwriter on like a smaller stage. But this past year I got to do it on the main stage with a full band. And so that was just a really cool thing. And I had people come out that I hadn't seen in years and years. So it was just like a big reunion and meant a lot.
And I almost forgot, I wrote this down, but with musicians, I've even had comedians I've asked this question. Before you go on a live performance, do you have like a ritual or some kind of a superstition before you go on to help you focus and stay calm before a live performance?
I usually do, my vocal warm-ups, just to make sure my voice is in a good spot. Drink lots of water, but I don't have any like major superstitions or um, get ready tactics. A lot of times I'm sure I will as things progress, but a lot of times just getting to my show and um, being on the road is a lot anyways. So just trying to take those few minutes to just chill right before.
And finally, what advice would you give someone who's watching this live stream right now or listening to our episode who's looking to pursue a career in the music industry?
Yeah. I think recently just being yourself and being authentic to yourself. I realized the importance of that recently. Um, I think whenever I just embraced who I was and stopped trying to write songs that I thought were what was on the radio right now or what people want to hear or what I thought was cool, um, they weren't cool. And so just being myself and letting my quirky style of writing, and I knew my style of writing was different. But people wound up liking my stuff that was authentic way more than they did the stuff that I thought that they would like. So just be yourself and you'll find your own sound by doing that.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I do this with all my guests when we wrap up. What is one word to describe yourself, and what is one fun fact about Krystal King that your fans might not know about you?
Oh, so one word to describe myself. My last thing today, I had me do 5 words. One word though. Let's say I'm quirky. I'm quirky. And a fun fact about me. Well, I don't know if you know about this. It's not really a secret, but I DJ for Radio Margaritaville twice a week on Saturdays and Sundays. So
Did not know that. Now I'm going to
yeah,
have to tune in. So, wow, that's what I love about this show. I always learn new things from my guests, and I like doing the fun facts too.
yeah. Well, as someone coming from the radio background, you're doing a great job, and we appreciate people like you who give us a platform to share our music.
I still make mistakes too, but you know what? The only way you learn and grow in any career is you do make your mistakes and you learn
Mhm.
from them and you go on from them.
You
And
keep
it's
going.
okay to yeah, and it's okay to make mistakes. And the way I'm talking to you now is the way I would talk to you if we were at a coffee shop.
Mhm.
And I learned that natural conversation, be yourself. And I've learned how to think on my feet and ad lib as well.
Yeah, that's very important for sure.
And finally, can you maybe tell us quickly about your upcoming tour or performances? And we talked about this before our show. Hopefully, you'll have some plans to come to Canada and internationally in the future.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to come to Canada or go international. Just don't have it in a set plan yet. Hopefully, maybe in a couple years, I'll make an action plan for that. Upcoming tours and performances. The first weekend in August, I'll be in Wisconsin. And the third weekend in August, I'll be back in North Carolina for some shows. And then I think the end of August, I'll be in Kentucky for a Jimmy Buffett Tribute Festival in Louisville.
Jimmy Buffett's awesome, and every time I hear his name, I think of the one song specifically. I know he's got a ton of great songs, but I always love the one song from 1977, Margaritaville, which will
Mm.
live on forever.
Yep, for sure.
And make sure when you're in Wisconsin, you say hi to Kirsty Kraus for me and her mother, Lori, who's supportive, is very supportive of my work as well.
Will do for sure.
And finally, where can my audience follow you on social media and your website?
KrystalKingMusic.com is my website. And you can pretty much follow me on any social media platform at Krystal King Music. Mostly use Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube, TikTok. I don't have Twitter. I locked myself out of Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, a while ago, and I haven't figured out how to get back on there.
Absolutely. I still call it Twitter, even though it's X as well. But hey, Krystal, I want to say thank you so much for giving us some time tonight to come on. I really appreciate it. I want to wish you continued success. And now I'm going to follow you as much as I can on social media. And any plans to do live streaming eventually as well for your performances?
Yeah, I mean, I think always adding in as many platforms as possible. It kind of just depends on the shows and there's a lot of background noise. So to be able to do quality live streaming is sometimes a challenge, but if it's available and the options there, always.
And when you do come up with some more singles in the future, you have an open invite to come back on Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you have a great evening, continued success, and thank you so much. And give me a little bit of time tonight, and I'll send you the video and audio. And I'm going to break up some video and small clips that you can share on your social media if you'd like to as well from our show tonight.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, Krystal.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed season 8, episode 32, overall 417 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show on WQE 99.1 FM and sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet dealership here in Guelph. Thank you so much to Krystal King, a Nashville recording artist, songwriter, and we just played 2 of her new songs, Mind Your Own Backyard and House Fire, which she gave me permission. So YouTube and Facebook don't put copyright on there as well. So please check out Krystal King's YouTube channel, and that's Krystal with a K. She's on all social media platforms, minus Twitter/X right now as well. So before we wrap things up, guys, I want to say thank you again to Dave Campbell from the Edmonton Elks Radio Network for coming on earlier today, and again to Krystal King for coming on here tonight and talking about her music career and her latest singles as well. The next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, this is another short turnaround, again sponsored by barrycullen.com, is going to be tomorrow, Tuesday, July 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Tiffany Estelle. She is the host of Tea Time with Robin, a Buffalo Bills fan podcast, and she's also the host of another podcast called Not Your Average Podcast in the 716. Tiffany's obviously lives in the Buffalo, New York area, huge Buffalo Bills fan, and she does a great job on her podcast, and I had her co-host Robin Monday on my show last week. So if you're a Bills Mafia fan or a fan of the National Football League, check out Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show tomorrow, Tuesday, July 23rd, 2 p.m. Eastern with Tiffany Estelle, as we're going to talk about the 2024 Buffalo Bills and whether the Super Bowl window has closed on Josh Allen and this team who experienced a lot of off-season moves in free agency and with the trade of their number 1 receiver, Stephon Diggs, to the Houston Texans. And training camp is underway with the Buffalo Bills right now at St. John's Fisher's University in Rochester, New York as well. Guys, if you're looking for a furry friend or forever pet, please check out the Cambridge and District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. Telephone number 519-623-7722 or visit their website at cambridgehumanesociety.com. Right now, the Cambridge Humane Society is full of animals and pets that need to be adopted. And if you want to go down there, again, it's at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, or the phone number I mentioned, and their website Their profiles, all the animals are up for adoption. Their profiles are on the website, CambridgeHumaneSociety.org. And also, guys, if you're interested in volunteering with the Cambridge District Humane Society, you can fill out a volunteer form through their website as well. And right now, the Cambridge and District Humane Society is doing a monthly 50-50 draw, and you can buy tickets in person at the shelter, or you can do it at CambridgeHumaneSociety.org. And it's a great organization there, and I'm proud to be a dog walker and fundraiser for them. And let's hopefully get some more of the dogs and cats and rabbits and pets down there adopted into forever homes. As always, guys, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is hosted by yours truly, Chris Palme. Is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM, the key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. Shout out to the station manager, Ryan O'Neill, for having my show on his station for the last 18 months. Please check out their website as well. It is WQEEFM.radio12345.com. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram as well. And also, guys, I am on Cameo.com. If you would like a personalized video from yours truly, type in Cameo.com and then type in my name, Chris Palme. I'd be happy to give you a video shout out, and all the proceeds from my Cameo videos will go to my radio and media work. And also, guys, if you're in the Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge area, and you're looking to advertise your business, please check out CDP Media Productions, as I'm looking for more sponsors for Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the Argo Bounce Live Audio Show, and the Small Talk Podcast. So please send me an email at cpalme, POMAY 19@gmail.com if you are watching or listening to this and you're interested in having your business advertised on my radio and podcast show, which is on 21 different platforms and on WQEE 99.1 FM. Also, guys, you can check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been the official sponsor of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show since September 2022, and it is a family operated and run car dealership here in Guelph since 1969. So please check out their website at barrycullen.com or pop by the dealership as well. New Live with CDP merchandise, my new t-shirts. Hopefully I'll have them coming out in soon. I found a business that can print them out and redesign. I have a new logo, and hopefully I'll have them out in the next few weeks, coming in August. So stay tuned for Live with CDP merchandise coming soon. Guys, you can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. I'm a full-time content creator there as well. And I want to say thank you to my 2,300 plus followers there as well. And also, guys, if you have subscribed to my YouTube channel, thank you so much. And if you haven't, please check out my YouTube channel, Chris Palme, Live with CDP Talk Show, as I'm just now over 400 subscribers, and my next goal is to get to that 500 subscribers mark on my YouTube channel as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans or professional plans that I have at $49 US a month. And if you're a business that does a lot of webinars or podcasting, check out StreamYard.com and contact the sales department there for pricing. And I've been with StreamYard just under 4 years now. And for the most part, I've been very happy with them. And I do think they provide a great live streaming service as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. The audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, and now available on YouTube Music. So if you guys go to your YouTube Music app, look for Live with CDP Sports Talk and hit that subscribe notification on YouTube Music. Finally, guys, you guys can email or text Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show at cpame19@gmail.com or text the show at 519-820-7188. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback, positive, negative, would be greatly appreciated. And that's about it, guys. I want to say thank you again to Nashville recording artist, star Krystal King, for coming on this evening to talk about her latest singles, Mind Your Own Backyard and House Fire, which are available on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and all live streaming musical platforms out there as well. And thank you to Dave Campbell again from the CHED 630 in Edmonton for coming on and talking about the Elks as well. I'm going to wrap this show up, guys. Again, I have another quick turnaround tomorrow. Season 8, episode 33 with Tiffany Estelle from Tea Time with Robin. Monday, a Buffalo Bills fan podcast. And again, she's the host of her other podcast, Not Your Average Podcast in 716 area. I'm excited to have Tiffany on for the first time, and we're going to talk some Buffalo Bills football as well. And again, some sad news from the Toronto Argonauts in the CFL today. Former Argo linebacker, number 77, Pete Martin, from 65 to 72, and their color analyst for 25 years with 6 different play-by-play announcers. Pete Martin unfortunately passed away today at the age of 83, and he was just recently introduced into the Argos all-time Argos group as a builder as well. So deepest sympathies and condolences to Peter Martin's family and friends and the Toronto Argonauts. And when you think about the Toronto Argonauts growing up in the 70s, Pete Martin was one of the guys that introduced me to the CFL, and the Toronto Argonauts being on CFRB 1010 with Bob Bertina as well. So please check out my show with Dave Campbell. We talked a little bit about Peter Martin as well. So I hope everybody has a great evening. I want to say thank you again to Dave Campbell and Krystal King for coming on here today. And we'll see you back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. with Tiffany Estelle. Again, thank you for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show on WQEE 99.1 FM and sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. again with Tiffany Estelle.